Part 138. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1371. Chapter 1371 Lost a lot of weight. Listening to Hanzaja's soft comforting voice, Muniankai had a lot to say in her heart, but it felt like thousands of steel needles were stuck in her throat, blocking all the words she wanted to say, leaving only there were sobs every now and then. After being gentle for a while, reason still drove Muniankai to urge Hanzaja to go to work. Hanzaja reluctantly kissed Muniankai goodbye and left. Muniankai went back to tidy up for a long time, and then arrived at the place they agreed on time. At that time, Xiaoying and Yeziaksun had already arrived, but Tanguoer had not arrived yet. At this time, Tanguoer was still stuck in traffic on the road. Tanguoer lowered his head and looked at the time anxiously. From time to time, he stuck his head out to look at the traffic jam on the road, feeling as anxious as a hot pot of ants. It is estimated that they have all arrived by this time, and she is the only one still stuck in the road. But sometimes the world just plays tricks on you. When you are most anxious, everything happens in the opposite direction to you. Tanguoer held his head in his hands, almost despairing. Xiaoying and the others waited for Tanguoer for a long time, but they didn't wait. Xiaoying called Tanguoer. Tanguoer answered, "Sorry, I was stuck in traffic on the road. Why don't you go shopping first and I'll contact you when I arrive?" Okay, then be careful on the road." "Well, I'm really sorry." Tanguoer hung up the phone, her face still flushed. They haven't been together for a long time, but they didn't expect that she would break down on the first day. Tanguoer felt as if she was possessed by the of bad luck. Every time she was unlucky, it was herself, and everything went wrong. She really needed to find time to pay her respects in the temple. Tanguoer finally arrived, got out of the car, and hurriedly found the location that Xiaoying and the others had just received. Xiaoying and the others have almost finished shopping at this time. Everyone is holding trophies in their hands. They are now sitting in a milk tea shop drinking milk tea. By the time Tanguoer arrived panting, Xiaoying had already ordered a cup of her favorite milk cap for her. "Sorry, the traffic jam on the road is really heavy." Tanguoer sat down and took a big drink in one breath. "Okay, it's okay, I'm drinking so quickly and I'm not afraid of choking," Yeziaksun said while reaching out and patting Tanguoer's back. Tanguoer raised his head, his eyebrows curved, and smiled sweetly at Yeziaksun. "Thank you, Xiaoxun. Hey, little candy, I noticed that you have lost a lot of weight recently. Look at you, your pointed chin has lost weight." Muniankai bit her straw and looked at Tanguoer carefully, her eyes spinning around. When Muniankai said this, everyone focused their attention on Tanguoer. When Tanguoer ran in just now, things were indeed different. Tanguoer used to be quite thin, but now, she has really lost a lot of weight. She used to have some baby fat on her face, but now she doesn't even have the baby fat anymore. Her face is smaller, and her eyes are much larger, but she still looks very cute and charming. Have it? Tanguoer saw everyone looking at her like this and nodded in agreement, then she reached out and touched her face twice in a daze. "I haven't weighed myself for a long time. I've been too busy doing experiments and homework recently. Maybe I lost weight accidentally," Tanguoer answered seriously. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1372. Chapter 1372 Trying to Gain Weight. "You're cuter if you have some flesh." As Yeziaksun said this, he touched Tanguoer's face and tried to pinch it twice, but he didn't find much fleshiness. "My face used to be so soft and cute, but now I have no flesh on it." Tanguoer smiled shyly, "I will work hard to gain weight." Xiaoying supported her head and looked at Tanguoer with half-squinted eyes. As if she thought of something, her smile became more ambiguous. "By the way, Little Candy, my 12th cousin will complete his military service next month. Military service is back. I know. Tanguo said, lowering his head and biting his lip, and smiled shyly. Little Candy must know, I guess she's been counting the days. Muniankai joked. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed. Tanguo buried her head lower and just muttered, no way. Okay, no more teasing about Little Candy. What about you, Nianqi, you and Hanzija, when will something good happen to you? Xia Ying winked at Muniankai and turned the conversation to her. Muniankai was stunned for a moment, obviously not accustomed to this sudden topic. Thinking of what happened this morning, Muniankai couldn't help but blush twice, but then she pretended not to care. That guy Hanzija is focused on his career now, how can he have time to think about this problem? I guess he will have to wait until everything is stable before he formally proposes to me. By then, I will probably be in my 3rd year. Muniankai spread her hands, feeling helpless. Actually, it doesn't matter whether you are married or not. After all, you have been living together now, and there is no difference between you and newlyweds. Yeziaksun is very open-minded. Muniankai didn't want to talk about herself anymore, so she looked at Xia Ying and then changed the topic to Xia Ying. Hey, don't talk about me, Xia Ying, you and Yu Lingfeng have been together for so many years, why haven't we seen you get married? Anyway, everything has been resolved now, you can get married. Xia Ying was stunned by Muniankai's question, and then she thought about the question seriously, supported her head with her hands, and glanced upward. Actually, I also think about this question sometimes, and I don't know, Yu Ling, when is Feng going to propose to me? Ha ha ha. Muniankai smiled, do you want me to give him some hints? Don't want. Xia Ying interrupted categorically, it won't be interesting if you remind me. This kind of thing should be done slowly. It depends on when Yu Lingfeng will have this intention. Muniankai nodded in agreement. Then, everyone unanimously looked at Yeziaksun again. Yeziaksun shrugged and explained honestly. The relationship is stable and I haven't met the parents yet, so take your time and don't rush. Everyone seemed to have gained some sense of satisfaction, nodded, and moved on to the next topic. Yeziaksun is still writing novels. She is now very popular on the internet and almost everyone knows her. Even now, when the experience of becoming famous is mentioned, people still talk about it. Su Jinsi knew that his girlfriend was a famous romance queen on the internet, and was so frightened that she did not communicate with Yeziaksun for most of the day. It was only later that I slowly accepted this. Su Jinsi always knew that Yeziaksun was very powerful and excellent, but he didn't know that he was so powerful and excellent, which really made him dare not even think about it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1373. Chapter 1373 Luminous Body. When Xia Ying went back, it was already evening. The two living treasures Qian Yanjiu and Qian Yins left today, and Grandpa Jun also left long ago. Now there are only 4 people in the huge castle, 11 Ju, Yu Lingfeng, Yu Moliang, and Xia Ying. When Xia Ying returned to the castle, 11 Ju was still meticulously cleaning the living room. Xia Ying casually asked where Yu Lingfeng was, and 11 Ju said that Yu Lingfeng was on the rooftop. Rooftop? Xia Ying was stunned for a moment. Why is Yu Lingfeng going to the rooftop? Master is probably observing the stars, after all. 11 Ju stopped talking in the middle of his words, but Xia Ying already knew everything. That's right. Yu Lingfeng is leaving. Xia Ying now has this thought floating in her mind from time to time, that Yu Lingfeng is leaving. She has always known it, but she has been forcing herself not to think about her. But the more she does this, the more uncomfortable she feels when she thinks about it. Xia Ying thought so, dragging her exhausted body towards the rooftop. But when Xia Ying arrived at the rooftop, she only found darkness and the lights were not turned on, which meant that Yu Lingfeng was not there. Xia Ying thought this and turned around to leave, but just as she turned around, suddenly there was light around her. Xia Ying opened her eyes wide and looked around. They were all bright stars that were shining like stars in the sky. Du is the star, the model of the star. Because Xia Ying has already seen the Earth and what Mars and Venus look like. Xia Ying's starry eyes twinkled as she carefully touched the beautiful luminous objects around her. Until, Xia Ying discovered a very different luminous object. Its shape is similar to the Earth, but it is a circle smaller than the model of the Earth. It is also a blue star. It looked very beautiful and dazzling. Xia Ying looked at it happily and reached out to touch it. Until Xia Ying felt someone approaching from behind, Xia Ying turned around and it was Yu Lingfeng. Yu Lingfeng walked towards Xia Ying with a smile on her face. Then he walked behind Xia Ying, put his hands around her waist, and rested his chin on Xia Ying's shoulder. Yu Lingfeng, is this your home planet? Xia Ying looked for those planet models and was slowly attracted to this unique planet. Yu Lingfeng softly made a sound from his throat, yes. Xia Ying glanced at the Earth on the other side again, they are very similar. Yes, it is indeed very similar, it's so similar that I gradually regard this place as my home and don't want to go back. Xia Ying pursed her lips, but you have to go back, your body. I know. Yu Lingfeng's voice was slightly hoarse and sounded particularly intoxicating. Especially in this night with the moonlight and the surrounding flickering luminous objects, the atmosphere is ambiguous, the flowers in front of the moon and the moon below, it is particularly charming. Have you noticed that although this planet and the Earth are far away from each other, they are not on the same level? Somewhere in time, they will definitely meet. When the time comes, it will be the day I leave and the next time I come back. Find your day. Xia Ying nodded, stretched out her hand, and touched the planet carefully. It's so hot. Yu Lingfeng paused and then said, it's hotter inside. Do you want to open it and take a look? Xia Ying quickly opened it without thinking too much. As if it was a deliberate design, Xia Ying just twisted it twice, and the planet model split into two halves. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1374. Chapter 1374 Luminous Body. Who knows, Xia Ying opened the planet model, and what she saw was a diamond ring with a color as clear as blood. A very large diamond was set on it, and the light shone so hard that people dared not look directly at it. This is. Xia Ying was so excited that she was speechless. She has never seen such a beautiful diamond ring. This is a red diamond, a pink to bright red transparent diamond, among which the pigeon blood red one is a rare treasure. And this diamond is the finest pigeon blood red diamond. Xia Ying has seen blue diamonds and pink diamonds before, and even clear water diamonds with good color. But I have never seen such a beautiful red diamond with such pure and perfect color. Such a diamond is a priceless treasure. Like it? Yu Lingfeng asked softly. Then he picked up the diamond and took Xia Ying's hand. Xia Ying was still in shock and surprise. Did Yu Lingfeng's action mean he wanted to propose to her? Just thinking about it made Xia Ying so excited that she forgot how to breathe. He kept holding his breath and didn't even move. His body seemed to be completely frozen. Before Xia Ying could recover from the shock, Yu Lingfeng was already on her knees, holding the diamond, looking straight at Xia Ying with a pair of unfathomable black eyes, and said word by word, Xia Ying, will you marry me? Yes, of course I am willing. As Xia Ying spoke, tears welled up in her eyes. When she spoke, she almost bit her tongue in excitement. She just talked about the proposal to Mu Niankai and the others today, but she never expected that Yu Lingfeng would propose to her tonight. Yu Lingfeng's eyebrows were curved, and he smiled lovingly and gently. He carefully put the pigeon's blood diamond on Xia Ying. Xia Ying was already so excited that Yu Lingfeng embraced Xia Ying in his arms with half happiness and half excitement. Do you know how long I have been waiting for this day? Yu Lingfeng's clear voice sounded. Xia Ying hugged Yu Lingfeng tightly and listened to his words. From the first moment I saw you, I already had this picture in front of my eyes. Every day from now on, I think about the moment you married me all the time. Xia Ying, I really love you so much. Yu Lingfeng, I love you so much. Xia Ying replied to him. I've prepared everything, let's get married the day after tomorrow, okay? Xia Ying nodded and did not think about when Yu Lingfeng plotted all this. From the layout of the rooftop today, it can be seen that Yu Lingfeng spent a lot of effort on the sky, and the structure here is probably the real structure in the universe. When Yu Lingfeng leaves and Xia Ying is waiting for him, she can come here to see Yu Lingfeng's planet and the distance between them. As Yu Lingfeng said, there is always time. The day they met, and that day, she could see Yu Lingfeng again. When the two were embracing each other sweetly, there was a young man leaning on the door of the rooftop, and another young man standing there. Leaning against the door with an expressionless face was Yu Moliang. Standing with a face filled with envy and blessings was 11 Ju. Yu Moliang noticed the ring on Xia Ying's hand and frowned twice. It seems that he is determined to stay here. Yu Moliang snorted, even the Phoenix Nirvana was sent away. What is Phoenix Nirvana? Zihu was confused after hearing this and looked at Yu Moliang. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1375. Chapter 1375. Why don't you sue me? Phoenix Nirvana is a gift given to Yu Lingfeng by his father on his 18th birthday. That diamond is unique in the world. When Yu Moliang said this, his eyes were still staring at the huge bright red diamond, with a touch of envy in his eyes. When Yu Lingfeng first got the diamond, Yu Moliang had always been envious. I always think about what kind of gift I will get on the day of my coming-of-age ceremony. Now this thing that he has envied for so many years has been changed hands by Yu Lingfeng and given to Xia Ying as an engagement ring. A human being. Yu Moliang looked at it for a while and then left with a straight face. 11 Jews stood there not long before he also left. The next day, all the good friends of Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng knew the news that they were getting married. The news came suddenly, and the wedding was held suddenly. Today I learned the news, and tomorrow, they will really get married. Qianyans and Qianyanjiu asked Yu Lingfeng on the phone with dark faces, why didn't you tell me earlier that you were going to get married? Can I just leave later? They had just arrived at Qinsha, and when they turned around, they were about to leave again. They didn't know what they were thinking in their minds. Well, on purpose. Yu Lingfeng joked with them seriously, and then Qianyanjiu took it seriously. He was so angry that he almost dropped his phone. Fortunately, he still felt sorry for the new phone he just bought, and his reason and desire for money let him put an end to this terrible thought. Forget it, you get married, you are awesome, I will take care of you after you get married. After Qianyanjiu finished speaking, he hung up the phone angrily. June Chennai, I received this news after finishing an important meeting. June Chennai, I was stunned for a moment, feeling that it was a bit sudden, but after reacting for 2 seconds, he still replied with a smile in a very kind and blessing tone, congratulations, I will go. After June Chennai I finished speaking, he hung up the phone and walked to his office followed by a large group of people. June Chennai I had just walked into the office, and several more people came over to report on their work. June Chennai I listened carefully and then made a few comments. After a while, the secretary came over to inform June Chennai that June Xianyan was here. By the way, June Xianyan was discharged from the hospital 2 days ago. All the Jun family members went to see him, but Jun Chennai did not go. Jun Chennai is now the top leader of the prosperous Jun family and the upright successor of the Jun family. As for Jun Xianyan, he is just a poor man who escaped death. The mechanism was exhausted before, but now it has ended up like this. Jun Xianyan deserves it. Jun Chennai nodded slightly, let him come in. Then, the secretary brought Jun Xianyan in. After staying in the hospital for such a long time, Jun Xianyan lay in bed and did not exercise much. His body became a little fatter. His face no longer had the contours it once had, and it began to smell greasy. But fortunately, his facial features were still there, and his appearance was still the same. Very resistant. Jun Chennai sat on the sofa chair and did not stand up. He just glanced at him contemptuously and curled the corners of his mouth twice, with a subtle expression on his face. You are looking for me, what's wrong? There was no emotion on Jun Chennai's face, but the rising sound at the end of his words made a person like Jun Xianyan, who was always sensitive, very uncomfortable. Jun Xianyan sat on the sofa before answering, and then glanced around, seeing the place he had always dreamed of, and the position where Jun Chennai was sitting now. Everything should belong to him. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1376. Chapter 1376 Little Cherry. Jun Xianyan met Jun Chennai's gaze and narrowed his eyes a little. Why didn't you sue me? Why didn't you tell the police that I was an accomplice? Jun Chennai sneered, you don't think it's embarrassing, but I still think it's embarrassing. Jun Chennai said, leaning back, playing with the watch on his wrist with his right hand, and then said, the Jun family, the largest family in the imperial capital, is killing each other and causing civil strife. I am embarrassed to say it. Since Jun Di has stopped all the mistakes, so it's better to just let him do it. As for you. Jun Chennai paused, looking at Jun Xianyan with eyes as cold as the ice of the Arctic mountains. Don't embarrass the Jun family anymore. Snored. Jun Xianyan sneered, you are so proud now that you have everything. I guess my parents still hope that you can ignore your past grudges and spend a lot of time thinking about how to please you, right? I won't argue with them. I will remember every single thing and argue with them. This Jun family will end sooner or later. This is the difference between you and me, and this is why you are sitting here today. The reason is me, not you. Jun Chennai, you are so proud. I hope you can sit safely and comfortably in this position. Jun Xianyan gritted his teeth, stared at Jun Chennai, and said these words one by one from between his teeth. I'd like to lend you some good words. Jun Chennai glanced at Jun Xianyan contemptuously, and immediately looked away, not wanting to look at him anymore. By the way, Grandpa invites you to have dinner at home today. Remember to ask Shang Junliang to come with you. Jun Xianyan had a cold face and walked out without answering. Not long after Jun Xianyan left, Jun Chennai's secretary handed over a document. It was submitted by the entertainment company owned by the Jun family for Jun Chennai's purpose. Is a group of newly signed artists they have recently signed, as well as some basic salaries. Although Jun Chennai is no longer in the entertainment industry, he still attaches great importance to the entertainment companies under the Jun family. He has to go through every batch of newly signed artists to see how well the review work of the people under them is done. What is this little cherry called? Is it an internet celebrity? Jun Chennai flipped through the first few pages and felt pretty good until he noticed the one named Little Cherry. Born in non-science class, he did not graduate from college. He dropped out of school as an internet celebrity halfway and became an anchor. Because she is good looking and has a good figure, she is quite famous on the internet. The person in charge who followed the secretary saw Jun Chaniai's brows gradually frowning, and his face became increasingly ugly. Yes, this one called Little Cherry is indeed not very talented compared to other signed artists. But she is very famous, and her appearance is really outstanding. Although she is an internet celebrity, her face is not at all the same as that of ordinary internet celebrities. This girl is very elegant. Xiaoying had taken a set of antique-style photos before, and it was that set of photos that made her famous. Netizens all said that she resembled the descriptions of beauties in ancient romance novels, as if she were a classical beauty stepping out of a mural. Later, she became an anchor and her popularity has always been very high. However, it is obvious that Jun Chaniai is not the kind of person who only cares about appearance. In Jun Chaniai's view, she is like a vase with nothing but appearance. In the entertainment industry, the most indispensable thing is good-looking people. Moreover, from the photos, Jun Chaniai didn't think there was anything else about this girl that was pretty enough to make people ignore her. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1377. Chapter 1377 Trying on a Wedding Dress. This girl has a good personality, is beautiful, can be open-minded, and sings very well. The person in charge saw that Jun Chaniai's expression was getting more and more ugly, so he started to praise this little cherry. It's not that he has to get into trouble with Jun Chaniai because of this internet celebrity. After all, Jun Chaniai said from the beginning that he doesn't want people without talent. This is an iron rule. Jun Chaniai will not allow a vase or a traffic star to appear under his company. It's really because the leader said he must keep her. Because, a leader fell in love with this girl. The person in charge was helpless and had no choice but to try his best to persuade Jun Chaniai to keep this internet celebrity. Jun Chaniai obviously couldn't listen to what he said, but turned on the computer and searched for Little Cherry, then clicked on a few videos and listened to a few of her songs. Finally, he said calmly, "This person, don't want it?" The person in charge broke out in a cold sweat and wanted to say something, but Jun Chaniai's expression became colder and colder, as if he said one more thing, what he didn't want was not just Little Cherry, but himself. Good. Tell your boss that if someone like this creeps in again, his seat will no longer be occupied. After Jun Chaniai said this in a cold voice, he lowered his head and continued to deal with official duties. Yes, President, I'll go down first. Without even raising his head, Jun Chaniai took a deep breath and walked out of the office. As soon as I left the office, I started calling my boss to tell him that Little Cherry still didn't stay. Of course, the other party was scolding him, and the person in charge responded, "Yes, yes," while wiping his sweat. Yu Lingfeng has prepared everything for the wedding. All Xia Ying has to do is try on the wedding dress. Xia Ying, Yu Lingfeng, and Luo Xianzihu came to the place where wedding dresses were sold. Xia Ying held Luo Xian's hand, her face was rosy and could not be concealed, she smiled coquettishly from time to time, whispered to Luo Xian, and commented on the fairy-like wedding dresses in front of her. Yu Lingfeng and 11 Ju followed them, watching them choose wedding dresses, and then looking at them from time to time. Yu Lingfeng, what do you think of that one? Xia Ying and Luo Xian both agreed on the same wedding dress, and Xia Ying pointed it out to Yu Lingfeng excitedly. It is a crystal pattern inlaid with cherry blossoms, with a touch of pink. From a distance, it is very dazzling. The wedding dress is tube top and sleeveless, and Xia Ying's collarbone is very beautiful, and her neck is also slender and fair. Wearing a wedding dress of that style must be very beautiful. Just looking at the wedding dress, Yu Lingfeng began to have a sense of the picture. Miss, you have good taste. This is our latest model, and it's also our. The shopping guide was explaining, and then he turned around inadvertently. When he realized that the person next to him was Xia Ying, he covered his mouth in excitement and was speechless. Following Xia Ying, the shopping guide looked at Yu Lingfeng again. Xia Ying smiled at her. What else? Is it yours? Xia Ying didn't wait for the shopping guide's answer. The next second, the shopping guide ran away and disappeared, waiting for her to come back. Xia Ying and the others were already surrounded by waiters in the store, and the shopping guide just now pulled their store manager over. A group of people stared at them and screamed. Ah, Xia Ying, are you getting married? Obviously the owner of the store is a die-hard fan of Xia Ying, so the shopping guide couldn't wait to drag her over the next second he saw her. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1378. Chapter 1378 Trying on a Wedding Dress. The store owner saw Xia Ying alive for the first time. He was so excited that he grabbed the arm of the person next to him, screamed, and stamped his feet, and his eyes were red. Xia Ying, I like you very much, I like you very much, I have liked you for many years. The store manager confessed his sincerity to Xia Ying with tears in his eyes. Xia Ying smiled gently, then stepped forward and gave her a hug. Xia Ying could feel her body stiffen the moment she touched the store manager. Thank you. Xia Ying whispered to the store manager. Your fiancé is so handsome, my God, he looks much better in person than on camera. Yu Lingfeng rarely wore a mask today, so it was a feast for the eyes of the girls. Some girls couldn't help but pick up their mobile phones and began to secretly take pictures. Yu Lingfeng glanced at the group of crazy girls. There was nothing more exciting than seeing the idol he had liked for many years get married. Oh, the more exciting thing is probably that you are the first fan she knows about, and she even comes to your store to buy a wedding dress. At this moment, the store manager felt that he was so happy that he almost fainted. Let's see if you like this skirt, this is the most suitable style for you. There's also this one, Xia Ying, look at this one, it's the only one in the whole store, it happens to be your size, do you want to try it? This one is also super beautiful, designed by the famous designer Michelle, it will look good on you by the way, this one also has a matching groom style. The store manager led Xia Ying throughout the process, recommending the best wedding dresses in his store. After all, your idol is getting married, and no one knows your idol better than a die-hard fan. After shopping for a long time, Xia Ying picked out a few favorite wedding dresses to try on. When Xia Ying wore each dress, everyone couldn't help but scream and take photos, exclaiming how beautiful it was. Yu Lingfeng sat aside with a doting look on her face the whole time, watching her bride try on one wedding dress after another for herself, as if she were a fairy. It is said that women in wedding dresses are the most beautiful, and Xia Ying is no exception. Yu Lingfeng has seen many sides of Xia Ying, but she still has to admit that she is heartbreakingly beautiful in her wedding dress. Yu Lingfeng even had the urge to hide Xia Ying so that no one could see her. Only he could appreciate her beauty alone. Yu Lingfeng had fantasized about Xia Ying putting on a wedding dress for herself countless times, but when such a fantasy came true, he could not help but feel his heart beat faster, like a young man who was inexperienced in the world. Everything is ready, but at this moment, even as calm as Yu Lingfeng, he would panic. Yu Lingfeng, which one do you think is the most beautiful? Xia Ying held both sides of the wedding dress and walked cautiously towards Yu Lingfeng. Yu Lingfeng stood up and looked at Xia Ying with a warm smile. The way Xia Ying looked up at Yu Lingfeng reminded Yu Lingfeng of the first time they met. No matter how long it took, Yu Lingfeng's mood was the same every time he saw Xia Ying. When he saw her, his heart turned into a puddle of water. They are all very beautiful. But, I can't wear so many pieces, I have to choose one. Xia Ying is confused. Actually, she herself doesn't know which one is better. All of them are beautiful. Then buy them all and you can change them anytime tomorrow. Yu Lingfeng half squinted his eyes and said with a smile. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1379. Chapter 1379 Marriage. Xia Ying frowned, patted Yu Lingfeng's arm, and said angrily, "There are so many, how can I wear them?" Yu Lingfeng took Xia Ying's wrist and brought it to her lips for a gentle kiss. She said softly, "Can you put it on slowly and change it in an hour? You can't get through that either." Xia Ying smiled. The actions of the two people made the people around them look at each other with stars in their eyes. They all held their faces and whispered, "It's so sweet." In the end, Xia Ying selected 2 wedding dresses and bought them back. Because the shop owner is his fan, the price given is almost the purchase price. Originally, the shop owner planned to give it to Xia Ying for free, but Xia Ying refused to accept it because the shop owner was her longtime fan, so Xia Ying left her an autograph and a photo. The shop owner excitedly said that he would develop Xia Ying's photo and signature and place it on their counter. Xia Ying was amused by her. "Xia Ying, will you post the wedding video on Weibo then?" Before leaving, the shopkeeper reluctantly asked Xia Ying this question. Xia Ying nodded, smiled sweetly and said, "Yes." The shopkeeper was so excited that he almost cried. He kept telling Yu Lingfeng, "You must be kind to our little angel Xia Ying. She is such a good person and deserves to be loved. If you bully her, all of us will know one will let you go." Yu Lingfeng nodded politely and smiled back, "I will, don't worry." The shop owner wiped away tears and hugged Xia Ying before waving goodbye. While walking on the road, Xia Ying herself was feeling emotional. "I am so lucky to have so many fans who always love and support me." Yu Lingfeng could see that there was something on Xia Ying's mind, and probably guessed what it was, so he got closer to Xia Ying, put his arm around Xia Ying's shoulders, and comforted her in a low voice, "Okay, don't think so much. If you feel like repaying if they want it, write more songs so they can feel it." Yu Lingfeng's words reminded Xia Ying. Xia Ying has written many songs, and Yu Lingfeng has also written songs, but she has never written songs for her fans. Xia Ying felt that she must write a unique song for her fans. Xia Ying thought so, and on the way back, she was constantly troubled by this matter. "With so many thoughts in my mind, I simply took out my phone, clicked on the memo, and started recording my inspirations." Until the wedding day, Xia Ying didn't know where their wedding was going to be. Yu Lingfeng had been hiding it, saying it was a surprise for her. Yu Lingfeng did it indeed. There was only one day between the proposal and the wedding. It seemed that Xia Ying married herself without any preparation. But in fact, today's scene has appeared in Xia Ying's mind many times. She has imagined countless times how she would marry Yu Lingfeng, where she would be, what kind of wedding dress she would wear, and how charming Yu Lingfeng would be on that day. And who will be the guests attending that day. But when such a day finally came, Xia Ying's mind burst with excitement, and there was no other emotion left. The wedding venue was a castle surrounded by a sea of colorful flowers and verdant grasslands. That castle was very different from the castle where Yu Lingfeng lived now. Yu Lingfeng's castle was dark, but this one looked like something described in a fairy tale or a cartoon, colorful and dreamlike. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1380. Chapter 1380 Marriage. That day, all the guests present, including Xia Ying herself, were shocked. "This castle is pink blue," Yu Lingfeng said, "and it will glow at night, and it looks very dreamy and girly in appearance." However, what surprised everyone even more was that this castle was not rented out specifically for weddings or engagements. It was private. This means that it is Yu Lingfeng who has already prepared it. When Xia Ying learned the news, Her eyes almost popped out of her head. When did Yu Lingfeng complete such a huge project behind his back? The day you became my girlfriend, I was preparing for today. This castle was just completed 3 months ago. Yu Lingfeng explained to Xia Ying with a smile. Because I know that although you are always so strong on the outside, deep down inside you are softer than anyone else. You can be your national goddess outside, but when you get home, you are just my little princess. Yu Lingfeng accompanied Xia Ying for 2 lives. In the previous life, Xia Ying was the daughter of a wealthy family, a pure and kind-hearted little princess with an unchanging girl's heart. But in this life, because of revenge and responsibility, Xia Ying became less and less like herself, and she became farther and farther away from the Xia Ying who had been buried for a long time in her heart. Yu Lingfeng hopes that Xia Ying can take off all her armor in front of him and become a carefree little princess. And he will stop all the wind and rain for her. Xia Ying's eye circles gradually turned red, and even she gradually forgot that she still had a girlish heart. But Yu Lingfeng always remembered it. Only in front of Yu Lingfeng could Xia Ying feel completely relaxed. She doesn't need to be suspicious or calculating, or even defensive, because Yu Lingfeng means a sense of security to her, and Yu Lingfeng will bear all the difficulties and obstacles for her. Okay, I'm leaving first. I'm looking forward to seeing you put on a wedding dress for me and walk towards me in front of everyone. Yu Lingfeng placed a kiss on Xia Ying's forehead. The bridesmaids Tang Guo'er, Ye Xiaoxun and Mu Niankai on the side had their eyes fixed with envy. Even the makeup artists stopped what they were doing and looked at Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng. Tisk, these two are so sweet that I don't even want to drive Yu Lingfeng away. Even though Mu Niankai said so, her body still started to chase people away. You'd better go by yourself, so as not to make me look like a mandarin duck beating a mandarin duck. Xia Ying has to hurry up and put on makeup. Yes, the groom is not allowed to come over and peek at the bride. Tang Guo'er added. Yu Lingfeng shrugged, okay then. Then when he looked at Xia Ying, he became tender again, then I'm leaving. Xia Ying nodded, yeah. Yu Lingfeng then walked away with long legs. Yu Lingfeng had just left when he heard a commotion coming from inside. Damn it, Yu Lingfeng is so handsome in a suit today that I feel weak in the knees. Xia Ying, Yu Lingfeng is so handsome today, and she is so sweet and pampers you. I actually built you a fairy tale castle behind your back. Tisk, Yu Lingfeng seems to be hiding a lot. How much wealth does he have? Yu Lingfeng raised the corners of his mouth slightly and left quickly. As soon as he arrived on the grass, Yu Lingfeng saw someone he hadn't seen for a long time. A eldest brother-in-law. Yu Lingfeng watched helplessly as the man yelled in surprise after seeing him, and then flew towards him. End of this chapter.